You are listening to the EPT Works Listen, Love, Give podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Annette Cargioli, the Forgiveness Doctor. I'm here to help you create phenomenal health, happiness, and new life with energy, intuition, and forgiveness. EPT is short for Emotional Polarity Technique, an innovative, holistic emotional therapy that will change your life for good. You can subscribe to this podcast, get free EPT training at eptworks.com, and like us on Facebook. This episode 4 is titled, Can a Dead Person Keep You from Being Well? In this episode, I will talk about how the energy of a dead person can make you chronically ill, and that many times when you are not getting better, it is because you are carrying the pain or illness of someone who has died. You will also learn why this is not that weird or complicated and probably happens more often than you think it does. Finally, I'll talk about how an EPT practitioner can easily identify if this, your close connection to someone who has died, is actually the cause of your chronic pain or illness, and how energy, intuition, and forgiveness, how using that, you can quickly release the stuck energy so that you can immediately feel better and get on with loving your life. So here we go. As practitioners, we work with people using EPT. As we work with people using EPT, it becomes evident that often the focus is on a significant person who has died. Florence came to see me complaining of left arm pain. She had exhausted medical care and physical therapy. She had also tried 2 chiropractors. By the time she landed on my table, she had been suffering for over a year with debilitating left arm pain. When someone has exhausted every healing approach, there is a good chance the problem they are trying to fix is not actually their problem. I asked her body, is this your pain or someone else's pain? It tested as someone else's pain. I continued to deduce and test to determine that it was her dad, Norman's pain. She told me that was impossible because her dad had died a few years ago. I continued to test to uncover the hidden memory that contained the trapped emotional energy. Florence felt her dad's anger and pain at the time of his death because he didn't want to leave her all alone. She told me that she was with her dad when he died of heart failure. She felt that she had finally experienced a close relationship with her dad, and then he died. I didn't have to know why she began suffering with his pain so long after his death in order to release it. I used forgiveness statements. I also asked Florence if there was something she didn't get to tell her dad that she wished she could have. She tearfully said, "I love you and I miss you." I coached her to also say, "It's okay for you to go into the light, Dad. I will follow much, much, much later." Her arm pain immediately vanished, along with the energy of her dead dad. There is a distinct feeling when you release the energy of a person who is already dead. At first, it can seem a little spooky. After all, this death and closure business isn't exactly something most of us are familiar with. Once I realized how much emotional, physical, and spiritual relief this can give, I let go of all my previous judgment about talking to dead people. And I had a lot of previous judgment. I don't presume to hold the secrets of death and the other side. I only know that we have an energy signature, a frequency or vibrational code unique to who we are. Sometimes when you meet someone and your energy signature clashes with their energy signature, you immediately know that something isn't right. Other times you can meet someone and your vibrational code dances and sings with theirs as you share a close energy vibration. Perhaps when we die, people we know are still impacted by our energy signature, as though we are still here. I feel that explaining this dead people phenomena with a ghost theory is easy, but probably too simplistic. In the end, it doesn't really matter if there is a dead relative haunting you or not. In EPT, we seek to forgive what needs to be forgiven, to say what needs to be said, and to release what needs to be released. All of this is done in order to free you from an unhealthy energy pattern that prevents you from a full expression of love and life. Denise came to me with chronic colds and viruses. She would be sick in bed for 1 or 2 weeks at a time. She could only stay healthy for 2 or 3 weeks before once again falling very ill. Denise's first issue occurred when she was 23 and concerned her mother. She felt grief, depression, and low self-esteem about her mom having died unexpectedly of an illness at that time. Denise was now in her 40s and a mother of 3 when she came to see me. We walked through her forgiving her mother for dying, forgiving herself for not being able to save her mom, and giving her mom permission to die and enter the light. Of course, this was all very emotionally charged. She sobbed as she let go of her mom and the life that didn't exist. That is a life that she might have enjoyed if her mom had lived. Her energy and feeling of lightness increased before she left her first EPT appointment. She enjoyed her first winter in several years without chronic sickness. Even though some EPT practitioners are really good at this and even feel like they attract these people who have connections with people who have passed on, some of these EPT practitioners do receive distinct, detailed impressions about the person who has died. Even though that is true of some practitioners, it is not necessary to have all these clear impressions other than the information retrieved with muscle testing and deduction. It is possible to release such energy with forgiveness statements and the words the client needed to say to the one who died. EPT provides more than enough information through the 4-step formula to walk through releases that involve those who have passed on. Olivia looked very tired and unkempt when she came to see me. Her chronic depression had lasted for 6 long years. She was on 3 prescription antidepressant drugs. Even with the medication, she said her depression was terrible and she had no energy to do anything. I asked Olivia if anything significant had happened in her life when this depression started 6 years ago. She explained that her identical twin sister, Sophia, and she had both battled cancer at the same time. Olivia held her twin in her arms as she watched Sophia die. Olivia survived. As I began testing for what stage of healing, I felt a distinct mental impression of a woman trying to get my attention to talk to the woman sitting in front of me. As I tried to ignore this impression, it seemed to become more and more persistent and clear. A beautiful woman with long blonde hair was trying to get me to give a message to the woman sitting in front of me that I was testing. Finally, I asked Olivia if her sister and she were identical twins. She was very interested and said, yes, they were. I was confused because they seemed to be so different. While Olivia had short, messy, dark hair, the woman in my mind had long, beautiful blonde hair. She was very well taken care of. These two did not look anything alike to me. Finally, I confessed to Olivia that I was getting an impression from her sister. Olivia asked if I could see her sister, and what did she look like? With hesitation, I described the beautiful blonde woman. My client lit up and burst into tears as she told me her sister had always dyed her long hair blonde and looked beautiful. Even though there was a dead person involved, the basics of EPT was all I needed to forgive what needed to be forgiven, to release what needed to be released, and to say what needed to be said so that this woman was healed of her depression and able to get off all her medication. I have to admit, these types of EPT encounters are still a little weird for me. But I have found that walking through the 4-step formula works in these energy situations to evoke tremendous healing at every level, setting the person free to live their life in more love. So here are the steps an EPT practitioner will go through with the energy of death and closure. First, a practitioner will ask the body, is the energy of that person, such as mom, still here with the client? A weak muscle test indicates yes. Now, I don't choose to engage in long discussions about exactly what that energy is. I am only interested in assisting my client in regaining their own healthy flow of energy with regard to present time consciousness. The second thing a practitioner is going to do is have their client focus. They're going to say to you, if you're the client, think about your mom who died. The muscle test weak with that thought, and then they'll identify what emotion is associated with it by 2-pointing to an organ. Next, they're going to find the specific hidden memory. Using muscle testing and deduction, they will construct a hidden memory in the form of a statement. For example, your mom feels sadness at the time of her death because she couldn't stay alive, because she died, because you still need her, because whatever. The muscle will test weak on the correct reason. So it's just a deduce muscle testing, the same procedure we do in EPT. So in this example, I have mom feels sadness at the time of her death because you still need her. Next, the practitioner will use magnets over the forehead and over an organ. As the client thinks about that statement, they gently squeeze the sides of your head 3 times on inhalation. And now your practitioner will be ready for forgiveness. The practitioner will coach the client through targeted forgiveness statements and affirmation. The practitioner may have to coach the client to give her mom permission to feel joy and happiness moving into the light. I know that whole thing about going into the light sounds really cliche, but when I started discovering this, easily 20 years ago, and believe me, at that time, it was really a little disturbing to me. It seemed like that phrasing, going into the light, just seemed to work. And I really had nothing else to use. And so I just share that with you because telling someone to go into the light is very effective when somebody has died. Completing these steps will always result in a dramatic energy shift around the client. There will be a no response muscle testing when you ask, is the energy of this person, mom, still here with the client? If there is still a yes response after you have walked through with EPT, the practitioner will have the client pretend mom is in the room. There are words that still need to be said. Sometimes clients know what needs to be said, and other times they do not. Usually what needs to be said is very simple, like, I love you, I miss you, I'm doing fine. I'm glad you were my mother. I forgive you, Mom. I'll be safe. I'll take care of Dad. Or, it's okay for you to go. Maybe you have wondered if this is the problem in your life that is keeping you from getting well, causing chronic depression or even causing chronic physical pain. An EPT practitioner can quickly and easily help you feel better right now. This is not where you thought you were going. It's so much better. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, or go get your free training at eptworks.com. I'm Dr. Annette Cargioli, the Forgiveness Doctor. Until next time, listen, love, give. EPT works.